What's up guys, welcome back. This is part 3 on my series on the Watcher from the Malifaux range. We'll be going over a couple of ways to paint white. Alright, so let's get right into it. So I'm going to start off with a medium brown tone. This is Old Mud by Secret Weapon. You don't need to use Old Mud, you can start off with any brown tone you like really, so Games Workshop Dryad Bark or P3 Trollblood highlight would both work really well here. I'll mix in some ivory to lighten it a little. We don't really want to start off too dark. I'll also add some Rucksack tannin to warm it up a bit. The reason I'm using Old Mud here is because it's a very high density pigment, so it covers really well. When you're doing light colours, it can be a bit of a nightmare to get that smooth initial base to work over. So using the Old Mud is a good way to get a nice clean coverage in only a couple of layers. You can see now that it's on the model, it gives a really nice subtle colour. It's going to give us an excellent starting point for painting white. For our first highlight, we're just going to mix in some ivory into our base colour, and we'll begin to build up some volume just by blocking in where the light would be hitting the cloth. So I'm just trying to follow the shape of all the little folds and also hit the areas around the neckline and the tops of the sleeves. You don't need to be all that worried about brush strokes at this stage, but if you try to be somewhat neat, it's going to save you a lot of time later on. You'll find that the paint will go on looking very bright, but once it dries it's going to flatten out quite a bit, so don't worry so much if you think that it's too stark when you put the paint on there. Just build this up over a couple of layers until the highlight is opaque. Next we're going to soften out the edges of our highlights by adding some water to our highlight colour, thinning it down to a glaze consistency, and then with a very small amount on the brush we'll apply the glaze just at the edge where our two colours meet. That's going to help blur out the transition a little bit so that the jump between colours isn't so harsh. Notice here that I'm always trying to move the glaze towards the highlight. We'll do another highlight now by mixing in a little more ivory, and we'll just do the same as before, this time focusing on a smaller area, just trying to accentuate the brightest points where the light would be the strongest. So anywhere around the centre of each fold and towards the top of the neckline. I think that's starting to look pretty decent now. To continue, we'll pick out a few of the details on the shirt with some old mud. I'm just going to line this crease at the front of the shirt. And then the same here on this little sculpted on detail around the edges. Alright, so now we'll tidy up the edges with some of our ivory. For the pillow, we're going to do white again, but we'll add some grey to our base colour, just to help give a slightly different tone. I'm using scale colour graphite, but Games Workshop Dawnstone will work just as well here. So you can see how that looks now that I've blocked in the colour. For our first highlight, we'll again just add some ivory into the mix to lighten it, and we're going to apply this fairly roughly, just sketching in a basic highlight. You don't need to worry at all about blending this out. Add some more ivory and we'll start to build up the colour. This time we're going to be using stippling. So all I'm doing here is just letting the tip of the brush bounce around on the surface, creating lots of little dots. You can see that I do this quite quickly, just letting the brush dance around on the surface of the pillow. I try to focus around the top of any little folds or creases in the fabric. It's actually quite a simple technique. It lets you build up transitions fairly quickly and it gives you a really nice textured finish. If you've never tried this technique before, I can highly recommend giving it a go. All you need to do is apply more dots in the areas you want to brighten. So we'll add a bit more ivory now and continue stippling, focusing more towards the upper side of the pillow and trying to pick out some of the little subtle ripples in the fabric. Now I haven't sped this footage up here, so I think the pillow took about 10 minutes to do. Definitely don't be intimidated by stippling. As blending techniques go, this is actually one of the easiest to do, mostly because you don't really have to worry too much about accuracy. Just keep adding little dots until you like the way it looks. Alright guys, so I hope this has given you a better idea on how to go about approaching painting white. A big thank you to my very generous Patreon supporters, as without your help I doubt I'd be able to continue making these videos. If you would like to help support the creation of these videos, you can do so by clicking the link in the description box below and signing up to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Patrons get various benefits including early access to videos, the chance to have their models included in my critique series, PDF guides and much more. If you can't afford it or you simply don't want to, you can still help the channel out by liking and sharing the video or by visiting the affiliate links in the description box below. Thanks again. Bye for now.